Welcome to our study of Isaiah. In this syllabus overview, I'm going to provide for you important items related to the process of our course, the things that you'll need to do weekly, how the course is going to be evaluated in terms of assignments, and so forth. For those who have not studied with me before, we're going to do an in-depth study of the book of Isaiah. We'll be looking at this mostly chapter by chapter with a number of lecture videos that will provide additional information. I am Dr. Mark Gregory, Professor of Old Testament at Piedmont Divinity School. Very importantly, and I think significantly, this course will also have the interaction of Dr. Byron Edens, who has both a PhD as well as a D-Min. He is one of the vice presidents of our university and has done a significant amount of work in the area of preaching. So I'm excited about him jumping in and being a part of our course. He'll be doing some of the grading. He'll also provide some of the lectures. He and I will be doing some videos that will be dialogues about different parts of the text. And I think you'll really enjoy our time together. If you need to reach me, the best way is to send me an email. I do respond, of course, to voicemails if you call my office number, 336-714-7818. But it is certainly probably the best way to reach me first and foremost is to just send me an email. The information is listed here, GregoryM_1 at carolinau.edu. I do have an office on campus, and I am regularly on campus, and I'd be glad for you to stop by and visit with me there. This semester, I'm typically setting up Tuesday mornings as kind of my in-office time, whether I'm physically on campus or whether I'm actually in my home office, which is where I am at this very moment. Dr. Edens, of course, can be contacted through his email or through his cell phone that is listed on the syllabus. Please note that I often update the syllabus to maybe clarify certain areas or at least provide additional information. And the syllabus that you have and probably have most recently downloaded is from February the 22nd. I do encourage you periodically to look and download the most recent one. I will often send out an email if for some reason there are changes. You've been at Carolina University and Piedmont Divinity School for a significant amount of time, so you do have an understanding of our mission and our vision. The fact that within the Divinity School especially, we are committed to the inerrancy of Scripture, and we are committed to finding ways to take God's Word and make it applicable into our own lives. Perhaps that's in preaching, teaching, devotional time, whatever it might be. This course is about Isaiah, the great prophet. The description says this: a detailed study of the great book of Isaiah. We will consider the date, the authorship, the historical setting. All of these things will be studied, in addition to God's work with Israel and the prophetic themes related to the work of the Messiah. You will find as we go through the chapters that we will pull out very significantly themes related to the messianic portions of Isaiah. There's some wonderful passages in Isaiah 52 and 53, as well as the larger part that deal with what we call the servant songs. And those just really give us a great sense of the work of the Messiah, which we as New Testament people find the fruition of that and the fulfillment of that, of course, in Jesus. Some items related to course delivery and methods. This is 7 weeks. It's going to be intense. It's going to be rapid. You're going to need to read every week what I've provided for you in the course outline. I've got a chart in the syllabus. You'll see that. There will be weekly lectures, a minimum of 2 to 3 lectures each week. You'll be responsible for watching those. And remember, you will need to watch those utilizing Proctor Free. And I have set this up through assignment. So you will go into the assignment. You'll open up what seems to be an online test. You'll click on that question, and from there you'll actually link to Proctor Free, or you'll have already linked to Proctor Free. Then you'll link to the video. You'll watch the video. Complete the assignment, the test, by saying complete or incomplete, which hopefully it'll be complete. And then, of course, you will stop your Proctor Free. That allows us to then verify, in fact, that you have watched that. There's a secondary way, though, that I also try to gather information about your viewing, and that is the weekly viewing reports, and I'll talk about those in just a moment. I'm going to have multiple opportunities for you to dialogue with me, always available through email. We'll set up a time to Zoom or talk by phone, whatever it might be. But periodically, at least once or twice a semester, I will have what's called an open office time, where I will set up a Zoom room. I'll have it open. You drop in. It's not mandatory to come, but I would love for you to stop in ask questions. If you've not had a chance to meet me before, I'd love to meet you. And then you're welcome to leave. It's just kind of an in and out situation, or you can stay and be a part of the discussion that others may bring to the table. The required texts are Exalting Jesus in Isaiah by Andrew M. Davis. You should be able to find this, of course, through the bookstore that we have online. They're also available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. The other primary text is the Prophecy of Isaiah, an introduction and commentary by Alex Motier, J. Alex Motier. This is one of the preeminent commentaries on Isaiah, and I will very much look forward to getting your response as you read through these. I cannot urge you enough to stay up on your reading, because with only 7 weeks and hundreds of pages to read, the more you will stay on top of this, the better that you'll be. Also, the weekly test will pull significantly from your reading. You'll need access to the online databases from the Manual Library of Carolina University, formerly PIU, etc. Some of the course objectives: we're going to look at the historical background of Isaiah and the significant context of the book. We're going to really dig into that. We'll look at the theology, the content, the purpose of Isaiah, what is, especially from the messianic point of view, where's this going? But we'll also look at this in the historical context and the purposes that Isaiah brought to the table related to his immediate fulfillment of prophecy. We're going to review some comprehensive critical, hermeneutical, and expositional perspectives, and I'm very excited about Dr. Eden's being a part of the expositional part of this. The learning outcomes for you: I hope that at the end of this course you will have developed an overview of the historical framework and the significant theological themes. You'll gain an understanding of the critical issues of Isaiah with a focus on the conservative point of view. You will have explored and developed hermeneutical insight into the prophecies and specific themes. We're going to, again, look very, very closely at certain parts. The book of Isaiah in its totality is so long and so broad, we will not be able to look at the minutiae, but we will be looking very, very carefully at focused parts. So here's the part that everybody is obviously very interested in, and there are a number of requirements and assignments that are due weekly. Notice first, you will have lecture viewing reports. Each week there will be videos posted. You will watch those videos. Those are set up as the assignment in your weekly folder. There's also a template that I have provided. I want you to use this template and write me a paragraph, a summary paragraph of at least 200 words of each of the videos as detailed in the assignment. Not 200 words for the whole week, 200 words per video. So for instance, you'll have 3 videos, I think, in the first week, so you'll do a summary of about 600 words altogether, but each video will have a summary of 200, the next one will be 200, and the third one will be 200, for a total of roughly 600. You're always welcome to write more, but do not write less. I actually do use the amount of words as a partial rubric for determining your grade. Reading and participation, 15% of your grade. You'll provide a report through the assignment portal. This will be at the end. In fact, in week 7, and I said Blackboard here, actually now we're using, of course, Genzabar, the e-learning system. But in week 7, there will be a quiz whereby you will indicate the percentage of reading that you've done for the entire course. If you've read 100%, then you'll put 100. If you've read 80%, you put 80. And all of that will be factored into your final grade. We'll be also factoring in what I call these open office discussions. And by this, I mean that I do expect you to participate at least in one open office session. This not only encourages interaction, but it also, in a sense, compels you to interact with me, and that's exactly what we want. I will do one during the day, I'll do one in the evening, so that we'll have the opportune time for you to jump in, but I'll be keeping up with who's present and who's not. So not only will there be just some open office times that are freebies, I'm going to require you to show up for at least one open office, and I'll give you some information on that as we go forward. 30% of your grade will be tests. These are weekly tests. The discussion boards will be 20% of your grade. There are 6 of them, and the reason there are 6 is because on the week when your research paper is due, I have not given you a discussion forum that week. I've tried to give you a little bit of a break. 20% of your grade is in fact the independent research paper. You'll notice that you will need to provide that, and it's in week, I believe I have it actually in week 5. It's either 5 or 6, but I believe it's in week 5. Now there's a very important format that I want you to follow in doing this. You do need to do this in the Turabian style. That is the style that we as in the Divinity School have developed, and so I do expect that to be the case. This is the grad level, it's master's level work, and we use Turabian. So that's what I expect you to do. In your text, though, as you write out the content, I do want you to follow this format roughly. State the textual passage or topic, verify in a statement somewhere in that first paragraph. Typically, I would just kind of like to see that in the first 2 or 3 sentences. Provide a summary statement of the content of the specific text or theme and what you would like to see achieved by your research in this area. Review current commentaries and articles that address this text or theme. Then at the end, after you've done your work about this kind of expositional paper, I want you then to provide some personal reflection and provide an example of a teaching or sermon outline. And this can be 3 to 4 or 5 points. Let that be maybe a separate page in there. And then I do need in bibliographic form all of the sources that you've consulted. Notice this needs to be a minimum of 8 pages. Now that does not include the bibliography or the title page. The content itself needs to be 8 pages. So you could potentially have 10 to 12 pages, but content-wise, I need to see 8 pages. Again, that's a rubric that's going to affect how your paper is graded. The bibliography, again, is a separate page. The title page is not included in that 8. Just want to make sure you understand that from the beginning. Here's the chart that I've provided. This is in your syllabus. You'll notice that I've provided reading. You'll see this column provides the reading for Mottier. This column provides the reading for Davis. And here are the assignments, weekly exam 1, 2, 3, 4. And the research paper indeed is in week 5. So make note of that, week 5. Then we come back with week 6 exam and discussion board 5 in week 6. So remember, we missed 1 week of discussion forum there. And then the final exam, reading report, etc. So this will give you a quick overview if you want to know where we are in the process of week by week. The latter parts, of course, of the syllabus go through some of the minutiae related to the assignment weights, viewing reports, reading tests, discussion boards, independent projects, so forth. And reading and participation is what this one actually would be. 15, 15, 30, 20, 20, all to then equal 100%. You'll see here how we have matched up these assessments with, in fact, our course learning outcomes, and that's detailed for you there. Just as a reminder, we are on the graduate scale in terms of A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's. There is some information here related to professor-student interaction. You see that this is recorded. Course-specific policies. One thing that's very important is that when you turn in your paper and or when you turn in other types of documents, such as your, for in fact, your lecture viewing reports, make sure that you do that in a Word doc, docx or docs, doc, doc, whatever, and then upload it into the e-learning, and it will translate that and drop it in. If you try to upload this in the Apple version, Pages or whatever it might be, it's not going to upload correctly, and it will actually show me that you may have tried to submit it, but there's nothing there. I very, very much need for you to convert this to doc or docx before you upload it if you are an Apple user. Notice all the information related to email and electronic communication. There is actually a lot of information here that you need to look through. I won't take time at this moment to do so. But one item that I want to point out is the attendance and participation. You will notice that the student handbook has most recently been updated. There is information related to student participation, student attendance, and how we weight and rank the amount of time that you spend either watching the lecture videos or whatever it might be. So these are important items, and I don't want you to miss the fact that you are expected to participate in this course. You are expected to view those videos and to do so using Proctor Free and to submit those viewing reports. That's how we understand and know and gauge your engagement, in fact, in the course. We take academic integrity incredibly seriously. And one thing I want to mention about this is that when you submit your research paper, it automatically filters through a process known as Turnitin, which does a search and matches your paper to all known papers in the database or other paper databases, other articles, whatever it might be. And it will assign a numerical number. It's called a similarity report. And if it flags that there are similarities, then we as professors have an obligation to go in and actually look at and review those areas that have been flagged. And if there is not proper citation, if there is plagiarism in any form, we are required to interact with you and with the registrar's office concerning that. So I just implore you, do your own work. Even if it's a lower grade, maybe it's not quite the quality that you want it to be, it's much better for you to do your own work. Because if you plagiarize and it pops up and shows and we do the evaluation and we realize you've done that, you could fail the research paper, you could fail even the class, you could even potentially be kicked out of school. There are levels at which things kind of interact with your whether this is your first time, second time, etc. But you do not want to be in this situation, and this is not something that we can let slide. This is something we have to deal with, and we talk with the dean of our school, we talk with the registrar's office, and we go through this very carefully. So procedurally, we have to deal with it. I say all that to say, do your own work. If you quote someone, put it in quote marks. Cite it bibliographically. Make sure that you do it correctly. We deal with all of that. There's a lot of information here related to what plagiarism is, etc. And if you have questions, one thing you can do is work with our Student Success Office, and they can even do a review of your paper before you turn it in. There's also another feature. You can upload your paper multiple times to check your own similarity before the due date. And that's a feature that I allow, in fact, in that particular assignment. And that will help you greatly to know where you may or may not be with that. Accommodations for students with disabilities. If you have a disability, please contact the Student Success Office and make a formal request for that accommodation. We are more than happy to work with you in whatever need there might be. But if you just contact me directly, that really is not, first of all, it's not the right process. But secondly, I may or may not be able to do exactly what is needed. But if we go through the Student Success Office, we may have the resources through them to accomplish whatever accommodation that might be. So if you have some type of need, contact the Student Success Office. Here's a bibliography of some works that I typically refer people to related to the book of Isaiah. I think you'll find that this will be helpful to you, maybe even in doing your research as you are preparing your paper. Well, this is a really quick overview. It's about 20 minutes long, but I think it'll help you kind of get up and going. I do think that there's so many facets to what it means to dig into a master's level course like this, but you've had experience with e-learning, you know kind of how the process works. But let me know if there are things that you need clarification on. If you find that there are things that you're struggling with, communicate with me on the front end. Don't wait until it's late in this session. On the front end, send me an email. Say, Dr. Mark, I'm having a little bit of struggle with this area. I'm dealing with a life issue. I've had a death in the family. I've got COVID and I'm in the hospital, whatever it might be. Stay in touch with us and let us know what your circumstances might be, and we will work with you to the best of our ability. Well, I hope this helps, and I will post this video. You'll be able to see this relatively soon, and let me know how I can help you further. I look forward to studying the book of Isaiah with you.